arrived here in South Florida, we anticipated that Ichiro would be in the starting lineup at least once, maybe twice. He's on the doorstep of baseball history, 2,996 hits. And yes, indeed, he is in the starting lineup tonight, batting leadoff for the Marlins. So the Marlins fans, the Phillies fans getting together for Game 2, maybe see a little history the next couple days. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy along with Matt Stairs. We get set for Game 2. Boy, last night was a fantastic finish for the Phils. They walked away with their 11th shutout of the year. Now, you would think as they turn the page to Game number 2, they're facing a guy that's really struggled this year, except against the Phillies, and that's Tom Koehler, who's been a difficult guy for the Phillies to solve because of his curveball, because of his changeup.
Well, he's been a guy that goes out. What he does, he attacks early with his fastball. He gets ahead. But honestly, his thought process is the softer is better versus the Phillies. Take a look right here, the slider versus Major League teams, 23% versus the Phillies, 14%. Now the curveball is up, the changeup is up 4%. Again, it's coming back to where he respects that the Phillies can hit the fastball, they can hit the slider, so he wants to keep them off balance by throwing the big curveball, throwing the changeup down the zone. And his last outing versus the Phillies was very good. You're going to see a lot of good curveballs down in the zone. But when he needed to throw some fastballs, he was being able to spot the fastballs and get some weak ground balls off his two-seamer. But again, being attacking the hitters with the fastball, setting up the left-handers, the right-handers with the big curveball. He has that curveball where he wants to throw it and drop it on the back of home plate. That's the reason why a lot of left-handers swing and miss.
Last time out, he went 8 innings against the Phillies. In fact, he's got at least 7 in 3 starts against the Phils. Now, look at some of the numbers against the changeup. Phillies do not have a hit against his changeup. The rest of Major League Baseball, 450 average. The swing percentage for the Phillies against the changeup is nearly 31%, and the whiff percentage is over 50%. Can they solve him tonight? Well, Pete Mackanin hopes they could solve him at some point. Now, we talked about last night. It was a fantastic finish for the Phillies. Quiet game offensively until late in the game.
Well, late in the game, they had some key things. They had a bunt, they had some walks, guys hit by a pitch. That's the key how you play small ball. You don't have to rely on the long ball. You want to get up there and you just want to make things happen. Last night, this was tremendous. Peter Bourjos just lays an absolutely beautiful bunt down right here. Kelly, the first baseman, doesn't realize if he wants to pick it up. By the time he picks it up, it's too late. You get a knock. So now all of a sudden you're manufacturing some runs. Cesar Hernandez gets a curveball, does a nice job staying on top of it, hitting a line drive to right field. Tyler Goodell scores. This was a really weird play right here. Herrera hits a ground ball up the middle. Echeverria falls. But look who scores from second base, Cesar Hernandez. So being able to see what's going on, anticipating the ball being thrown to the backstop, being aggressive, that's how they won the game last night.
I asked Pete before the ball game, I said, at any point did you think about squeezing in those situations? He said, yeah, before Cesar got that base hit, I did think about squeezing. He said, I'm happy that I did not. So the Phils hope to have the same kind of clutch hitting tonight against the Marlins. It'll be Koehler against Eickhoff. Jared with his 21st start, 6-11 with an ERA of 3.98. Well, it's not going to be a packed house, but people who have watched Ichiro play in his career, they're excited to see him reach a little history. When we return, we'll go to the CSN studios. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. By Toyota. For great summer deals, visit your local Toyota dealer or buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Citizens Bank. The next time you have a question about money, don't keep it to yourself. Ask a citizen. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IVX.com. Game 2 of this 3-game series against the Miami Marlins, and Pete Mackanin looking at his lineup card as he's going to give it to Mickey Morandini to bring it out toward the umpires, and they will exchange the lineup cards. Let's take a look at that Phillies lineup, brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Cesar Hernandez leads it off at second, then Odubel Herrera and Maikel Franco. After that, it'll be Ryan Howard who will bat cleanup. Cameron Rupp, the catcher, will hit fifth. Cody Ashley sixth, the bottom third of Galvis Borges and Jared Eickhoff. We also will take a look at the Marlins lineup a little later on, but you got a quick glimpse of it right there to see who is playing where defensively. Time now for our Nissan keys to the game. Matt, what do you think?
Well, for me, I want to see versus Kohler, Tom Kohler, change the approach versus Kohler. We've been swinging early and often. The numbers don't lie. You be patient. He'll give you a good pitch to hit, or he will walk you. And two, Phillies hitters, stop thinking so much. I think they're getting up there and they're looking for off-speed pitch early, and they're taking fastballs down the middle, and then eventually they're swinging at curveballs in the dirt. So I think they're just thinking too much.
Yeah, the approach is a key when it comes to Tom Kohler, because it seems like everybody else in the National League has had success against the right-hander. Let's take a look at our Geico quote of the day. It comes from Phillies manager Pete Mackanin. On the lack of plate discipline, we don't show plate discipline. We're taking fastballs early in the count that are hittable pitches. If you're going to take fastballs early in the count that are hittable pitches, you cannot swing at breaking balls in the dirt. That's all I can say about that. We have to have more plate discipline. Well, Ichiro taking the field. He's playing center field tonight for the Miami Marlins. A lot of the fans who are here tonight are coming out to see him get maybe a step closer to history, becoming the first Japanese-born player to reach 3,000 hits in his major league career. There's Tom Kohler. Take a look at his numbers. 7-8 with an ERA of 4.42, 84 strikeouts in 108 innings of work. And his success this year, hey, if he didn't have the Phillies or the Braves to face, his ERA would be up over 5 at this point. But his success this year has come not with his fastball, but with his breaking stuff, Matt.
Yeah, it has. You take a look at the scouting report. Like you said, Tom, he has a very good curveball, and he has a good slider. The leg's hitting a $182 versus a slider, and his curveball hitting 223. Pretty good fastball, lives right around 92. Will top out at 94. And you can see he's 3-4 with a 3.69 ERA versus the Phillies. Thanks to this year so far, he's pitched well.
Yeah, three games against the Phillies this year, 7 innings in each of the 3. In fact, 8 innings in 1 of those ball games. That was his last time out against the Phils. Well, Don Mattingly looking at his watch and saying, we may be a little tardy for tonight's ball game. They are. They're a minute past when the first pitch was supposed to be thrown for this evening's game against the Phils, but we're ready to go. 5 games back in the National League East are the Miami Marlins. And Cesar Hernandez is about ready to lead things off for the Phils. Cesar 1 for 4 with a walk and a run scored in last night's ball game. Overall hitting .285 with 2 home runs and 25 runs batted in. Phillies begin play tonight at 46-55, 13 games back in the National League East.
What's the over-under? First pitch fastball for a strike, and Cesar swings at it.
Yeah, he generally sees one and swings. He doesn't always square it up. First pitch of the night is a fastball. He doesn't swing, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. That one's ripped on 1 hop to Dietrich, who wasn't scheduled to play tonight, and he throws Cesar out. So 1 away on 2 pitches here in the first. Miguel Rojas, who's playing first base, was scheduled to play second, but Chris Johnson has been battling a sore toe, and he was scratched from the starting lineup, so Rojas moved over to first base.
Rojas almost just killed Dietrich by throwing the ball around the infield.
Is that what they're talking about?
Yeah, I don't know if Dietrich was watching or not.
Here's Odubel Herrera. Odubel 0 for 3 last night, or I should say 0 for 5 last night. Martin Prado in on the grass at third, and a breaking ball that flies high. 1 ball and no strikes. This is the out.
Then he throws it back to him.
Oh,
Handcuffs him.
I guess Rojas figured you fired it at me, so I'll fire it at you. Two balls, no strikes to Herrera. Odubel hitting under 260 in the second half. Swing and a miss, 2-1. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Walt Rodenberger of Mays Landing. Phillies hit home run in today's ball game. Then Walt will win $200. Stop by McDonald's today and enjoy the new McPick 2 for $2.50 menu. I'm loving it. 2 balls, 1 strike to Herrera. He fouls a high fastball back. It's 2-2. Home plate umpire in tonight's ball game is Chris Conroy. The crew chief is Jerry Meals. He's around at second base. Ron Culpa had the plate last night. He's at third. He did a nice job last night behind the plate. Ground ball foul off the front of the camera well.
Tom Kohler is picking right up where he left off. This last outing, how the approach of especially the left-handed hitters. Fastballs early, curveballs late. Minus that fastball down the middle.
Yeah, he tried to run one by Odubel Herrera. Well, that's the part of this game, the cat and mouse, that you have to look for. You know, will he have the same formula throughout? And will the Phillies look for the same formula throughout? Odubel staying alive and hitting that one foul down the left field line.
You talk about Kohler this year versus other teams. 4 times this year he has gone 7 innings or more. 3 of them came with the Phillies. So you can give him credit, yes, but you can also put some blame on the Phillies hitters for being so aggressive and not allowing him to get wild.
Well, there's that breaking ball that Pete talked about in his Geico quote of the day. Odubel was waiting for the high sign from the umpires. Strikeout number 1 for Kohler. Matty has 18 strikeouts in 22 2/3 against the Phils this year.
Yeah, because we have a lot of left-handed hitters and right-handed hitters that face that pitch right there, the curveball down and in. Now, take it is with 2 strikes, so you're trying to protect.
Well, 2 away, and here's Maikel Franco. Maikel was 1 for 2 with 3 walks in last night's game. He scored a run. In fact, he scored what turned out to be the winning run for the Phillies. Scored on the double by Tommy Joseph. Broke his bat. Slow grounder out towards shortstop. Echeverria is up with it. And he throws out Franco. That one split right in half with some pieces flying all around. So Ichiro Suzuki is ready to lead things off for the Marlins when we get back to Marlins Park. For game 2 of this series, Don Mattingly's lineup brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. And we mentioned Ichiro is going to lead things off. He'll be followed by Martin Prado and Christian Yelich, then Giancarlo Stanton, the right fielder, Derek Dietrich, the second baseman. There's that lineup. Adeiny Hechavarria will bat 6th in the bottom 3rd of Jeff Mathis, Miguel Rojas, and Tom Kohler. Now there's Jerad Eickhoff, comes in 6-11 with an ERA of 3.98. Jared's allowed 15 home runs. Last time out, Pete Mackanin and Bob McClure wanted him to throw his curveball more, but he threw his curveball more last time out than he had in recent starts, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not locating his fastball, and his fastball's been getting hit hard this year, Lig's hitting .335 with it.
Ichiro hits one well deep to right center field. Borges going back, reaches up, makes the catch as he slams into the wall. One away here in the first inning. That was a wonderful play by Peter Borges, who really covered a lot of real estate to track that baby down.
This is a tremendous play. First pitch attacking the fastball right down the middle, puts a very nice swing on it. Luckily hit it to the big part of the ballpark, and Peter Borges, we've seen all year making tremendous defensive plays in right field. Look at the reaction by the teammates. Sit down. F9.
So Borges catching his breath out in right field.
Tremendous play.
He had to go a long way. So with one out, here's Martin Prado, 0 for 4 in last night's ball game. First pitch fastball is in there, 0-1. Prado hitting .319 with 3 home runs and 35 runs batted in. Out toward the hole at shortstop, backhanded quickly by Galvis. Nice start for Jerad Eickhoff to get 2 outs on 3 pitches.
On 3 fastballs. You know, I understand that they want Jerad Eickhoff to throw more curveballs and throw a slider, but if I'm standing in that batter's box and I know he's going to throw more fastballs and more curveballs, and he's not going to establish a fastball, it makes it a lot easier to sit on a curveball and react to it.
No, I would agree with you on that. I think it always comes down to establishing that fastball first.
Well, you have to pitch off the fastball. You have to.
All of his pitches so far have been a fastball. Facing Christian Yelich, who has 3 hits against Eickhoff in a limited amount of opportunities. 2 balls and no strikes.
And I tell you what will make his fastball, his curveball, and a slider even better is to get that changeup percentage up from 6.5% to about 12%. That's good timing right there with that graphic, because that changeup sets, I think the changeup sets up all the pitches. If you have a good changeup working, you can throw it ahead in the count, behind in the count. Hitters then have to start sitting on it once in a while. It makes that curveball or the slider even better.
He only threw the changeup 3% of the time his last outing. 3 balls and 1 strike. Couple close pitches in this at bat. Yelich lines it to right center field, so that's a base hit. Yelich had an 11-game hitting streak stopped last night. He's aboard, and it gives Giancarlo Stanton a chance to bat here in the bottom of the first. Phillies have kept Stanton quiet during this season. He has the 1 long home run, 3 hits overall. There's a little bit of a delay. I think they were trying to figure out where they were going to play Cesar Hernandez, and he's still on the second base side. He's in the spot where Stanton has 2 of his hits against the Phillies, basically. One of them went right where Cesar is in Philadelphia, and the other one went to his left between Cesar and Ryan Howard. And then the other one went, well, over the State Farm sign in left center field. Fouled at the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. The last 9 games against the Phillies. Check swing. They appeal. No swing. And it's 2-1. Tonight's game is also available in Spanish. Just use the SAP button on your television or change the language through the menu on your cable box. You got 2 outs on the first 3 pitches of the game, but the last out has been a little more difficult for Eickhoff. The count is full 3-2, and Yelich will be off and running on this pitch, which is what Cameron Rupp is signaling right now.
See if Eickhoff wants to throw that big 3-2 curveball here. He's on 5 straight fastballs.
There is that big curveball. And Peter Bourjos, this will be an easier play than the first one to get Ichiro, but he makes the first and third out of the first. Yelich is stranded over at first base. That's 20 straight scoreless for the Marlins.
And Marlins 0-0, and you know, guys, it's time for our Coors Light Cold Hard Fact, presented by Clean Crisp Coors Light. And get this, there are 7 ballparks that Ryan Howard has played in and not homered in. And if you take a look, Marlins Park right there at the top. He has 97 plate appearances here at Marlins Park and has never left the yard. You go down the list and you take a look at some of those. Obviously, some of those he's had very few plate appearances, but here at Marlins Park over the last 5 years, you know, you play the Marlins 3 times a year. You come down here to Miami. He's had plenty of opportunities, 97 plate appearances, and has not homered yet. But now that I've said that, I'm feeling pretty good about his chances of homering in this game, fellas.
Little reverse jinx.
That's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Olympic Stadium's on that list. Matt, did you homer at Olympic Stadium?
I did not.
Howard leads it off here in the second. Batting cleanup tonight. Hits it the opposite way. It's 0-1.
Did not homer in this ballpark either.
Yeah, I think we were all surprised when we saw that coming into this series. The amount of games that he's played and plate appearances here that has resulted in no home runs. He's hit so many against the Marlins during his career. Inside, that nearly hit him. Tommy Joseph, who had a nice game last night, only because of the fact that he gave the Phils a 1-0 lead. It turned out to be the only run they needed. Sits today against Kohler. Will play tomorrow. At least that's the thought. 2 balls and 1 strike to Howard. Ryan struck out as a pinch hitter in last night's ball game. Pete said there was a big debate as to whether he was going to take Hellickson out at that point. He said it just felt like we needed to get a run there in some way, shape, or form. The hope was we would get a run. Swing and a miss. A high fastball, and Howard is strikeout victim number 2 for Kohler. 1 out. Cameron Rupp is coming up. This Saturday, while the Phillies are in Atlanta to face the Braves, the Philly Barbecue Fest will take place at Citizens Bank Park from noon until 6 p.m. Over 40 vendors will be serving samples of their barbecue items. Enjoy live music and an appearance by the Fanatic. Go to Phillies.com/BBQFest for details and to order tickets. That is always a great event when the Phillies do that kind of stuff at the ballpark. So take advantage of it. Hopefully the weather will be great. Get a chance to get into the city a little bit. I know it's been busy back home. No balls, 1 strike to Cameron Rupp. Cam hitting .274 with 10 homers and 29 RBIs. And it's 0-2.
Cam's been a little jumpy at home plate. That front side wants to leave early.
Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did, says the home plate umpire. So back-to-back strikeouts for Kohler. Now he has 3. And Matt, I think it would be crazy for us not to think about him getting hit in the helmet if that has caused him to be a little jumpy at the plate.
Oh, I would agree. I would think it would. See that curveball? He wants to drop it right behind home plate.
Cam a bit frustrated. Even though the Phillies won last night, strikeouts were a big storyline. First time ever the Marlins have had 8 consecutive strikeouts result in outs for the opposition against them. And 12 of the final 15 outs for the Phillies came on a strikeout last night.
Incredible.
It is incredible. It's lost because, well, the Phillies won the game.
Right.
They only had the 1 hit, though, with runners in scoring position. 1 ball, 1 strike to Ashe.
So do you think his game plan has changed?
Kohler? No, I do not. Maybe 1 or 2 more fastballs, but for the most part, he's working ahead with the fastball and then throwing the curveball.
It's almost like he is putting them to sleep with the curveball and then trying to surprise them with that last pitch, that fastball.
Ground ball toward the right side, gobbled up by Dietrich. 6 up, 6 down for the Phils. We'll move to the bottom of the second. Much like last night, scoreless through 2. Marlins as we start the bottom of the second. Jimmy Paredes will take over in right field for Peter Bourjos. We'll get an update about Bourjos hopefully in the next little bit. He ran into the wall after making that catch on Ichiro's ball. He ran into the wall pretty hard. Dietrich fouls it back. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Dietrich overall is hitting .275. That'll go foul. Far, but foul. Really far.
Hanging slider. Sometimes we talk about a good slider that's a hanger. That's a good hanging slider because there's nothing you can do with it except for pull it foul.
That was the curveball. A little difference MPHs, miles per hour. Nice catch by that gentleman. Swing and a miss. He got him. The bat goes out toward Perry Hill in the first base coach's box. And Rupp finishes off the first strikeout of the night for Jerad Eickhoff. So what a way. Time now for a Hyundai defensive play of the game. This is where Peter Bourjos got hurt and had to leave the ball game a half inning later.
Yeah, this come on. Ichiro looking for hit number 2997, but Peter Bourjos does an unbelievable job of going back and timing his jump, crashing into the wall, making a very nice play. That is your Hyundai defensive play of the game, brought to you by our local Hyundai dealers.
So that's why Paredes is in the ball game. Peter has been the Phillies' best defensive outfielder this year. Freddie Galvis in shallow center field under it. Just like the first inning, Matt, 2 quick outs for Jerad Eickhoff, and now Jeff Mathis.
Jerad Eickhoff's slider, sometimes it becomes like a true cutter. That pitch right there is almost like a right to left action, which is hard to stay back on because you think it's a fastball rotation, fastball right there. Same pitch, it's a little cutter where it starts at your barrel, and what it does is it goes towards the end of the barrel. And that's why you see these, pop up in the infield.
Fastball down, 1 ball, 1 strike. Liner to left field. Cody Ashley's going back. It's over his head and off the base of the wall for Mathis. Throw to second base. It won't be in time. He'll pull in with a double, his 3rd of the year. He left that pitch up in the zone.
Yeah, that was just a slider that just kind of spun a little bit, stayed in the middle of the plate. Got underneath it a little bit. Cody Ashley does a nice job playing this off the wall. But it is about 275, 280 feet to left field, so hard to throw runners out from home plate on the double.
Now Miguel Rojas is coming up with a runner at second. Rojas has been pretty good as a starter this year. Out to right center field. Odubel Herrera will move over into the alley and make the catch. And he puts it away. No runs. The first extra base hit, in the last 21 innings for the Marlins. Phillies fans who are here watching their baseball team. Probably excited about the future of the Eagles with Carson Wentz potentially being their starting quarterback in the near future. Doesn't look like it's going to happen this year. We'll go to the top of the third inning, and the Phils will look to try to get something going against Tom Kohler. It'll be Freddie Galvis, Jimmy Paredes, and then the pitcher's spot. Last time Kohler faced the Phillies, he retired the first 10 batters that he faced. And then Peter Bourjos reached on an error. 2 batters later, Ryan Howard homered. At that point, the Phillies were down 4-2. Ground ball foul. And it's 0-1 to Galvis. The kind of swing Pete was talking about before the ball game today about Freddie. He was more frustrated about it when it was 2 strikes, not 1 strike.
It's almost the point where the hitters are in pull mode so early.
Well, that one floats out to center field, a base hit. So he kept the bat back and was able to then get it through the zone for the first hit of the day for the Phils.
I mean, this pitch is, what, 3 inches off the ground? It's up a little bit. Now, I understand he does have a good curveball, and if you're going to try to pull a backdoor curveball or a curveball like that, you're going to swing and miss or hit a lot of ground balls to the right side. Now, Freddie, his body went way out in front of the plate, but his hand stayed back, which caused him to keep the barrel through the zone a little longer. You know, and Ben Davis always talks about think about the big part of the field. This is a guy you have to think about hitting the ball left center, right center.
Jimmy Paredes takes a fastball for strike 1. Paredes off the bench to fill in for Bourjos. 2-0-3.
Because one thing about Kohler's curveball, it's not a. It's a 12-6. If not, it's close to being up and down, straight down. It's not one of those ones where the curveball's coming in towards your back foot, where he has a chance to hang it inside to a left-hander. Those ones there, you can go ahead and try to pull. But the ones that have it's almost like a backup spin. Those are the ones, if you try to pull, they never ever come into the barrel.
A liner to left field, right at Yelich, and 1 out. Time now for the Jeep Stuff the Fans trivia question. Log on to Phillies.com, go to the fans section for all the information, and please submit your answer on the subject line. All right, Matt, who was the last Phillies player to win National League Player of the Month in July? The last Phillies player to win.
Now, that ball Jimmy Paredes just hit was a very nice swing. That's how you stay on a curveball.
The answer will be revealed a little later on. We got to get you off the beaten path a little bit, so give you a tough one. Eichhoff, who does not have a sacrifice bunt this year, that will continue as he bunts that one into foul territory, and Rojas makes a nice sliding grab for the second out. And that'll bring Cesar Hernandez to the plate. Cesar hit one sharply his first time up, grounded out to second base. Takes a first pitch fastball down low. Cesar's scoring from second last night was a little microcosm of the way the inning went with the Phillies. I mean, they capitalized on mistakes by a Marlins team that doesn't make many physical mistakes. They're fourth in the league in errors at this point in the year. That's very good considering the first few weeks of the season they weren't very good. One ball and one strike.
Well, they actually had a rough game last night on physical errors and mental errors. Dietrich's base running, getting doubled up with a fly ball to center field. Kelly not picking the bunt up by Peter Borges down the first base line.
There goes Galvis, pitches high. Throw to second by Mathis is also high. And Freddie bounces off the bag and is tagged out by Echeverria. Well, Freddie Galvis is not arguing at all with Jerry Meals. I'm not sure if Pete Buchanan will take a peek at that one. The Marlins are looking into the Phillies dugout. It doesn't look like they're holding the defense. So that means it is indeed a caught stealing. Freddie Galvis did beat the throw, but then his foot bounced off the bag. He feels like he was pushed off by Echeverria. See right there, he's got him in the knee as I don't know if he pushed him off, Matt. I think his momentum kind of caused him to bounce off. So he is thrown out. They will not challenge. We will go to break and come back with the bottom of the third right after this. Kohler's going to dig in for the Marlins. Another base running mistake by the Phillies. I mean, those things happen where guys slide off the bag, but it's happened quite often for the Phillies.
They've been adding up too often lately.
Yeah, Pete acknowledged that today. He said we've got to figure that out. It's got to get better. Freddie initially said that Echeverria pushed him off the bag. There's a curved ball. 0-2. We looked at the replay with everybody else, and it looked like it was momentum more than anything else that caused him to get off the bag. Kohler goes down on 3 pitches. Second strikeout for Eickhoff. Phillies baseball is brought to you by your Delaware Valley Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Del Val Honda dealer or visit DelValHondaDealers.com. By Jefferson, call 800-JEF now or visit jefferson.edu. And by Chevrolet, visit your local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. With one out, here is Ichiro Suzuki, who's 0 for 1. Takes a fastball. It's 0-1. There was a little bit of a buzz in the press box today because there are so many members of the Japanese media that are here covering this game and covering Ichiro. Cesar Hernandez backhands, throws just in time. And Ichiro is 0 for 2. Two outs. And Martin Prado will come up. He's trying to become the 30th major leaguer to reach 3,000 hits. There are a number of guys that were well within reach of getting 3,000 that retired. And he is within 4 of getting to 3,000 hits. Prado takes outside. Last guy to do it was Alex Rodriguez, who reached 3,000 last year. The next one to do it after Ichiro accomplishes it is probably going to be Adrian Beltre. Adrian Beltre has had himself
2,600,
2,700.
2,700.
Adrian Beltre has had himself a heck of a career, and he just signed the extension with the Rangers, so their thought is he'll reach that as a Texas Ranger. Prado pops it up. Ryan Howard backpedaling. Cesar Hernandez thought about calling him off, but just bumped into him instead. And it's a 1-2-3 bottom of the third. Scoreless string is at 22 straight innings for the Marlins. We'll head to the fourth. Amazing selection of quality Boardwalk products that deliver bottom line savings. Call and order by 11:30 and get your order the same day. Who but WB Mason. We'll head to the top of the fourth inning. Neither team has put a run up on the board. Ryan Howard and Cesar Hernandez just had a moment, both calling for it, but the bigger of the two took charge.
I mean, that ball's that ball was right at first base.
Right.
Ryan having a good old time, laughing about it.
It was funny watching the interactions in the dugout. Juan Samuel then went over and talked to Cesar Hernandez. Cesar wasn't laughing as much as everybody else was. He's 0 for 1. He was up when Freddie Galvis was thrown out trying to steal. Got a pitch low, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. I guess the second baseman probably feels all the time that if I can get to anything I want on that side. That was a little easy, though, for the first baseman. Cesar did go around on that pitch. It's 1-1. That was a changeup. Another changeup. And it's 1-2.
That one had hit me written all over it. That was a changeup up in the zone.
On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, St. Louis won game 1 of the doubleheader against the Mets 3-2. Carlos Martinez got the victory. Jed Jerko hit a 2-run home run. His 16th of the year. Noah Syndergaard suffered the loss. Swing and a miss. Bottom dropped out on that one. Kohler picks up his 4th strikeout.
This is a very good slider. Hard break. Cesar swings right over top of it.
See, they're making up right there. They're talking hitting. Odubel bunts. It's a foul ball. Not a bad idea if you can get it out toward third base.
I wouldn't mind seeing Cesar or Herrera, Freddie Galvis drag bunt. Try to bunt one to second base and see how Rojas fields it and is able to shovel it towards the pitcher covering.
Try to check his swing. Doesn't matter. They called it a strike. That was also, was that a changeup? 85.
Unless it was a slider that backed
Well,
up.
that's what I was wondering. If it did, if it was a slider, it didn't have a whole lot of movement on it. The way his slider normally does.
Best pitch in baseball.
Backdoor slider.
Backup slider.
Backup slider. Ground ball to the right side, and that will leak into right field, a base hit. Second hit of the night for the Phillies. Well, the Phillies will take on the San Francisco Giants next week in a 3-game series, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Thursday is the Pride of the Phillies print featuring Ryan Howard and Carlos Ruiz to all fans. It's all part of just a quick 3-game series between the Phils and the Giants. Quick 3-game homestand. You can get your tickets by going to Phillies.com. Franco grounded out his first time up. Runner goes. Throw is one hopper and hits Odubel. So he has his 16th stolen base of the year.
Well, Kohler doesn't do a very good job of holding runners. Herrera had a very good jump. Mathis had no chance of throwing him out of second base.
Pickoff play is on, and Herrera is back. Now that is Herrera's responsibility to know where the second baseman is. It's Sammy's responsibility to let him know where the shortstop is. There's a little laughing going on out there, but that would not have been funny if he'd gotten picked off.
No.
balls and 2 strikes to Maikel Franco. Dietrich is still keeping Herrera close at second.
Yeah, the rule of thumb is when you're, it's same as at third base. If he's 12 feet away, you take a 12-foot lead. As he starts to come back towards second base as a runner, you back up a little bit. But you need to listen to your coach. The coach is going to yell, okay, okay, get more. He's going to help you out.
Herrera does look like he's trying to be aggressive off that second base bag, but leery of where Dietrich is.
Dietrich's standing right on top of second base, so Herrera should worry about more of a secondary lead.
That one's pulled toward third. And then Prado throws out Franco. And there are 2 outs. And that'll bring Ryan Howard to the plate for a second time. Howard struck out his first time up.
You know, so if you have a second baseman or a shortstop standing close to you, not allowing you to get a big lead at second base, then what you worry about is your secondary lead, your second, your third hop. Get well off the bag so you can score on an easy single.
Howard hits it foul. That's what he did in his first at bat on the first pitch. Mentioned Ryan does not have any home runs here at Marlins Park. He had 10 home runs at the old ballpark. He took Kohler deep in the last game, a 2-run shot. A little tapper foul. Part of the reason why he's playing here tonight. He's thinking, all right, you got a home run against the last time. Maybe I can get him to run into one here. Swing and a miss, and then he strikes Howard out for the second time in this ball game. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Kohler. In fact, it's the second inning tonight where he's picked up 2 strikeouts. He has 5 overall. Phillies leave one in scoring position. .com to find your RAV4 today. Toyota, let's go places. Let's go Phils. Scoreless game as we move to the bottom of the 4th inning. It'll be Yelich to lead it off for the Marlins against Jared Eickhoff. Eickhoff looks strong here tonight. Kohler's been strong once again for the Marlins. Yelich has one of the 2 hits tonight for the Miami Marlins, and the first pitch is on the outside corner. It's 0-1. Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2. Fastball just sailed out of the hand of Eichhoff. And a curveball that stays big, 3-2. So he's ahead 0-2. And now has fallen behind Yelich 3-2. It's noticeable that he's being careful with Yelich.
It's noticeable that he's trying to make the perfect
pitch.
Fastball or the best curveball he's ever thrown.
Well, he just walked him. So leadoff batters aboard. Giancarlo Stanton's coming up. Well, Murph, last night the Phillies recorded their league leading, not just National League, but league leading 11th shutout of the season.
It really is remarkable. They had 7 all of last year. They have 11 this year. The next best team are the Dodgers and the Mets. They both have 9. The Phillies have 11. We were sitting in the dugout today. We were talking about maybe the reasons behind it. A couple of the coaches and a couple other folks just kind of bantering some ideas around. And it's really kind of interesting. We kind of came up with 3 different things that are working this year for the Phillies pitchers that maybe we didn't see a whole lot of last year. First and foremost, the ability to pitch inside. They've done a much better job, I should say, than they were a year ago at pitching inside and hitting the inside of the plate. How about this? The 3rd lowest walk ratio in all of the National League are the Phillies right now. So they're not putting a whole lot of guys on base with free passes. That is a good thing. And also the defense, the solid defense. We saw a little bit about that in right field today. Peter Bourjos alone has been able to save a couple of shutouts for different pitchers. So those are 3 reasons that they believe that they have a lot more shutouts than they did a year ago.
Well, it's been fun to watch, particularly last night, the way they were able to come back and get some runs to help that lead after Tommy Joseph gave them the lead with a 1-0 double. And here's the leaders in baseball. A lot of National League teams. The Indians, the only American League team on that list. Stanton pops it up. Rupp off with the mask. That'll be back into the seats. And it's 0-2.
I'll throw my 2 cents in, and yes, the defense has been pretty good. The ability to throw fastballs to both sides of the plate. I would say the ability to throw their off-speed pitch when they need to for strikes is huge. Getting behind the count and not have to throw a fat fastball down the middle, they'd be able to throw a split finger by a Hector Neris or a curveball or a changeup when they need to. I think they've kept the hitters off balance the whole year. They've done a nice job.
Swing and a miss, and Stanton strikes out. Well, and the credit has to go to these young pitchers. I mean, you have Jeremy Hellickson, who's a veteran, yes. But think about how young the rest of the staff is, and they're putting those numbers up. Hellickson 6 innings you saw last night.
Knowing when to elevate a fastball. Good 0-2 pitch. Elevating a little bit. Good game plan by the catchers, by Cameron and Chooch. Dietrich must hit well with eye black on.
You don't think the lights are causing him a little bit of a problem?
I mean, hitters are superstitious.
That's very true.
Yeah, he probably had a good couple of games with the eye black on, and
slider on the inner half. Dietrich did not think that was a strike.
Didn't he have 4 hits the last game versus us back home? 3 or 4?
It was a multi-hit game. I don't remember if it was 4 or not, but he was hitless before that.
Probably had eye black, and he's kept them on.
On the outside corner, and now Eichhoff's ahead 1-2. That walk to Yelich's side. Eichhoff's command of the strike zone has been very good here tonight. And a strike 3 called. He threw the same pitch. And Dietrich's down looking. Second time he has struck out. And Eichhoff 1 out away from getting out of this with Adeiny Hechavarria, who's hitting .344 against the Phillies this year. Comparison between Eichhoff and Kohler. 9 strikeouts between the two. They combined to allow 4 hits. And a roller foul off the leg of Hechavarria. And it's 0-2. That one's off his foot. He's
painful at bat.
Really painful at bat.
Nothing like getting around a fastball and right off top of the foot.
That got some bone right there. It's probably going to leave a mark tomorrow. Off the end of the bat, a little roller out to Ryan Howard. No traffic from Cesar Hernandez on that final out, and we'll move to the top of the 5th. Phil's looking to score some runs. Precision plays of the game. Both these pitchers have picked up their fair share of strikeouts. Kohler with the curveball. And Eichhoff with a mixture of pitches.
They've been keeping the hitters off balance. When they're throwing the curveball, getting the strikeouts, they're hitting down in the zone where the curveballs are supposed to be. And when they get 2 strikes, they know how to elevate the fastball. So really, all in all, they've been very good today with their command of all 3 pitches, the fastball, the curveball, and the changeup. That's why you're seeing a lot of strikeouts today.
So our precision plays of the game brought to you by GMC. Eichhoff will take a breather. Hopefully get a chance to bat here in the 5th inning. And Kohler goes back to work against Cameron Rupp, Cody Asche, and Freddie Galvis. 5, 6, and 7 for the Phillies.
Cameron needs to hit this baseball inside the first base bag. Manny Ramirez, when he took batting practice, he hit everything off the first base screen during BP. Just line drive after line drive.
Why was that?
Just made him stay on the baseball. He never pulled off.
Is that just one round, or did he do it for?
He did a lot.
Yeah.
Like if he took 40 swings in BP, I bet you he would do it 25 to 30 times. Now that was early in his career when he was with the Cleveland Indians.
It may have been ball 3 that he just swung at. It's 2-1. Fly ball to right field. That's way up there. Stanton comes sprinting in and makes the catch in fair territory. 1 out. Los Angeles Dodgers will pay their only visit to Citizens Bank Park on Tuesday, August 16th. It's the start of a 3-game series. The series, all 3 games are at night, but the series wraps up on Thursday the 18th with a post-game concert, the first of its kind, featuring country music star Chase Rice. Get your tickets by going to Phillies.com. It'll be the only chance that you can see Chase Utley back in Philadelphia. Cody Asche pops up the first pitch from Kohler. That'll go out to shallow left. Yelich comes running in. 2 outs. Well, 2 easy outs now for Kohler. And here's Freddie Galvis. Now he did single his first time up. One ball and 1 strike. And a liner out toward left center field. Yelich running after it. It's going to slice back to him. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Kohler. Freddie hit it hard, but Phillies don't have anything to show for it. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th, and Eichhoff ready to go back to work. minutes old. The Crosscutters defeated Auburn 4-0. Rangers Suarez a no-hitter, 7 innings, 5 strikeouts for Williamsport. 23-14, second place in the New York Penn League Pinckney division. Congratulations to him. Phillies have some young players down to the lower levels that are really putting together some nice first or second years in minor league baseball. Speaking of putting things together, Jared Eichhoff's put together a nice outing tonight. 4 scoreless so far as we begin the 5th. Jeff Mathis leads it off. He doubled his first time up. Ground ball foul. Freddie Galvis to his right a couple strides. Good strong throw, and that's the first out. If your employees are on the road as much as the Phillies are, protect them with Independence Blue Cross. They're part of a national system of Blue Cross and Blue Shield plans that cover more than 100 million members across the country. Live fearless. Learn more at ibx.com/biz. Rojas flied out to center field his first time up. He's 0 for 1.
So that's what I was talking about earlier, about being able to throw your off-speed pitches for strikes. Back-to-back, very good curveballs. Great location. Just having a confidence of throwing that whenever you want.
There you go. He tried to check, but he went around according to the home plate umpire. And Rojas is saying, are you serious? He didn't ask for help, and the Phillies will take it. From our vantage point up here, it looked like he went, but still always wonder why umpires don't ask for help on that kind of stuff. Take a look. No, he didn't go.
But this is a very good location for the curveball.
Sure is.
Yeah, that's one thing I always had just a hard time understanding as a player is a home plate umpire calling a check swing, yes or no. Just ask the third base coach or the third base coach, the umpires.
I don't know if he asked the third base coach. I don't know if Lenny Harris would have punched him out.
He's honest.
You can see him. Yeah, why don't you ask him for help?
and I agree. That's all. That's what you want. That's the first base umpire, the third base umpire have the great view of it.
0-2 pitch to Kohler. In the dirt, 1-2. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, the Nationals and the Indians are battling in the bottom of the 4th inning. Washington leads at 4-2. Anthony Rendon is in his 12th home run. And Kohler waves at a 92-mile-an-hour heater. 1-2-3 go the Marlins here in the 5th inning. 6 strikeouts for Jared Eichhoff. We'll move to the top of the 6th inning. Kind of the same pace as last night. Scoreless ball game. Philly of the week is taking his power seriously in his major league audition. Tommy Joseph arrived after his call-up and has sent fly ball after long fly ball into the outfield seats. His first 13 career home runs came in his first 171 plate appearances, the fastest pace in Phillies all-time history. In addition, he is among the NL rookie leaders in average, home runs, slugging percentage, extra base hits, and RBIs. This Phillies rookie is ranking, and it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Well, Tommy Joseph had a big hit last night to give the Phils a 1-0 lead, and he's a bat off the bench in tonight's ball game against Tom Koehler and the Marlins. Phillies have 2 hits so far. They'll send Eickhoff to the plate after Jimmy Paredes. Kohler's been very good, just as Eickhoff has been very good. So as we go to the top of the 6th inning, we'll see if Paredes, who hit the ball hard his only time up, can get something going. We did find out that Peter Bourjos left with a shoulder injury, and the hope is that he'll be fine. Well, series note, first 7 innings scoreless. Here's the hit by Tommy Joseph last night that started the scoring.
Rodney threw a fastball, left it right in the middle of the plate. Tommy does a nice job driving that ball to left center. Mike Alfonso does a better job rounding the bases, scoring easy. It's a strong kid right there with a very nice swing.
Breaking ball that's in for strike to Paredes. It's 0-1. Ball hit sharply. That's a fair ball. Rojas does a nice job moving to his left comfortably to make the play, 3 unassisted. All right, Matt, I know you have July on your mind. Who was the last Phillies player to win National League Player of the Month in July?
What year?
Well, 2006. I gave you that hint off the air a few
Sal
innings ago. Well, that was really fun that you brought up Sal's name.
That's my buddy.
Sal's pals.
Ryan Howard.
Ryan Howard is incorrect. Sal is incorrect. 2 good guesses. Chase Utley is correct. Utley hit .425 with 6 homers, 13 doubles, 2 triples that month. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. One ball, no strikes to Eickhoff. So I get a miss.
Bound to go 10 years back to kind of finally stump me.
2-1.
2004. Who hit the 3rd pitch of the season of the ballpark?
I think it's funny when he does that. The legitimate question, though. Little
Tough
Phillies
one.
history.
Tough one.
Very difficult. Eickhoff takes a healthy swing, 2-2. Three balls and 2 strikes. And ball 4, Eickhoff draws a walk. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 connected devices and includes a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Here's Cesar Hernandez with a runner at first base. 1 out. Prado is in at 3rd just in case. Cesar lines it to left center field, a base hit. Phillies will play station to station baseball as Eichhoff stops at second. Third hit of the night, and the Phils have 2 base runners on. It's the first time tonight that they've had 2 base runners on. Kohler has allowed 59 runs, Matt, in 2016. 50 have come in the first 4 innings of games. Hey, you can look at that and you can say he's not around that much longer in a lot of games, but against the Phillies and the Braves, he's at 67 pitches. But maybe this third time through they can get something going against him.
Well, I'm hoping. I mean, he left that fastball up to Cesar Hernandez. Got a little too fine with Jerad Eichhoff.
Odubel pops it up. Rojas comes running down. Infield fly rule is called. 2 outs. And here's Maikel Franco.
So that last pitch is why I think that a straight changeup is one of the hardest pitches to hit. It's the same height as the fastball, the same rotation. You think it's a fastball, you go out to get it, you make contact out in front of home plate, and you hit a home run up an elevator shaft. Changeups that have a little bit of movement, at least you can react and change your bat angle to it. The straight changeup down the middle is the hardest pitch to recognize. You're going to make adjustments on a split finger because you see the rotation. You can make an adjustment on a curveball, a slider. But the straight change should be illegal.
All right, the straight change should be illegal, and the
backdoor cutter.
Backdoor cutter, right. Got to make a list of these things. 2 balls and no strikes to Franco. Well, he's in pull mode right now. You talked about what you've discussed, what Ben has discussed. Middle of the field, use the big part of the field. Franco's looking to use the left field line or go over the left fielder's head on some of those swings.
Well, he is, and he's not recognizing what's coming. He's thinking, okay, it's a fastball. When you pull off that bat, you don't recognize what the pitch is or where the location is.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Franco. And he pops it up. Out to shallow center. Dietrich is there. Phillies lead 2 in their half of the 6th inning. No runs, 1 hit, 2 men left. Middle of the 6th. We are still scoreless here at Marlins Park. Brought to you by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com. By the Pennsylvania Lottery's new Mustang Instant game. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly. And by W.B. Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right. Scoreless game. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. These pitchers are really working hard and working quickly, so if you're going to go to the concession stand, you better get there fast. Ichiro Suzuki is scheduled to bat in this inning, and his fans that have come watch him get closer to 3,000 hits would like to see something. So do the still photographers. I guess it's not really still photographers anymore. They're just photographers. He certainly has a following.
Still never forget that story about Lou Piniella. Spring training coming up to him and saying, "Man, do you ever pull the baseball?" He's taking his batting practice, line drive, line drive. You see, oh yeah, I can pull the ball. So all of a sudden he hits about 3 or 4 home runs in a row and just bombs them to right field. He walks back over to Lou. He goes, "Now can I hit the ball back to left field?" He goes, "You can do whatever you want."
It's almost like what he's trying to do in his first at bat.
Well, he'll take a round of batting practice and just launch home run after home run.
Breaking ball, and it's 1-0. Ichiro, who during his career had 10 consecutive 2-hit seasons. To the right side, Cesar Hernandez is in front of it. And 4-3 on the putout. With Eagles camp now underway, the microscope is squarely on rookie quarterback Carson Wentz. We're live from NovaCare to break down his strengths and weaknesses tomorrow morning on Breakfast on Broad, starting at 6 over on TCN. Here's Martin Prado, who's grounded out. He's also popped out. One ball and no strikes. Good pitch. Backed him off a little bit.
I wouldn't throw it again, though. If he throws it again, it'll be basically right. That's how smart Prado is for a hitter. He can get fooled on a certain pitch and then recognize it early and then have that nice swing that we've seen many, many times to right field.
Change up. Or was that a cutter?
Slider. That backed up.
Yeah, it sure did. I looked at the speed more than anything else. And the location. Curveball hit down the left field line. That's going to be in for a base hit. And then Prado's going to get to second base on this one. Well, you said it. Don't throw it again. He fooled him once. He wasn't going to fool him a second time.
He's just a very good hitter who makes an adjustment from pitch to pitch. He got buckled the first curveball, so now he recognizes the speed. He recognized how much it breaks. He's a very good hitter.
Here's Christian Yelich, who is 1 for 1. He walked his last time up.
Gonna change your look up at second base. Corrado has a big lead, jumping around. No one's holding him on.
Mike Dunn is warming up in the bullpen for the Marlins. Cody Ashe will settle under it. Prado tags, and just to draw the throw. Two outs. Giancarlo Stanton is coming up. They're going to walk him, you think?
No. No, I think they're going to pitch him the way they always have. Careful. Try to get himself out.
Which he's done quite often this year against the Phillies. And a liner foul. Good catch by the ball boy. Outside, it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Giancarlo Stanton has hit 21 home runs this year. His 21 home runs are 25% of the home runs for the Marlins this year, and he's not alone. Todd Frazier has nearly 30% of the home runs for the White Sox. Freddie Freeman has a high percentage of home runs for the Braves. I thought when we were researching this stat that he'd be #1. I really did. But look at that. Todd Frazier has 29 of the team's 98 home runs for the White Sox. American League team, which is, if you round it up, 30% of the homers. Freddie Freeman has 17 of the Braves' 61 home runs.
61 already.
1 ball and 2 strikes. And a ground ball, base hit it to right field. Rounding third, heading for home is Prado. The throw to the plate by Paredes on 1 hop is not in time. And Stanton has an RBI single to give the Marlins a 1-0 lead. Their scoreless streak ends at 24 innings. Again, he hit it to the vacant side of that shift. And that is now 3 of his hits against the Phillies to go right toward that shift.
Fastball away. Almost looks like he took something off his swing and tried to punch it that way. Paredes, I thought, had a really good chance of throwing him up because he has a very good arm. But it was on the first base side of the throw.
And he was deeper than he would normally be with other hitters because of the power. And now Derek Dietrich is the batter. Takes a curveball. RBI number 56 for Giancarlo Stanton. Prado's double set it up. Try to check his swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. And the strikeout wraps up this 6th inning. 3 strikeouts tonight for Dietrich. 1 RBI for Giancarlo Stanton. Time now for your Delaware Valley Honda Dealers game summary. Well, one run for the Marlins tonight. It came in the bottom of the 6th inning. That's it. Giancarlo Stanton's RBI single off Jared Eickhoff, who's been excellent here tonight. Tom Kohler was excellent. I say was because he is done. He is lifted as we go to the top of the 7th inning. The left-hander Mike Dunn, 2-1 with a 3.12 ERA, will enter the ball game.
It's an interesting move.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting now that I think about it.
73 pitches.
And he wasn't.
51 strikes.
Yeah, he wasn't even being burdened. And they are short in the bullpen tonight. Before the ball game, Don Mattingly wasn't sure if he would have Rodney. He wasn't sure if he'd have Ramos. And he wasn't sure if he would have Bearclaw. Those are 3 big arms. Now, one of them may be available. 2 of them may be available. But before the game, he wasn't sure, and he wouldn't know, he said, until the pitchers threw.
Which means they're all available.
Tommy Joseph pinch hitting, and it's 0-2. With Dunn coming in, Howard exits, and Joseph will pinch hit here in the 7th. Ryan got a couple of at-bats tonight. Tommy fouls it back. It remains 0-2. Little emergency swing. Just trying to stay alive and protect himself. Fly ball left center field. It's not deep. Ichiro comes in. And 1 out. That'll bring Cameron Rupp to the plate. Friday, August 12th is the Phillies Wall of Fame. The induction ceremony of Jim Thome will take place, presented by Toyota. All fans coming to the ballpark will receive the Jim Thome print, which you see right there. That too is compliments of Toyota. Tickets can be purchased anytime by going to Phillies.com. Cameron Rupp is 0 for 2. The Phillies have 3 hits tonight. They have put 2 runners into scoring position. That's it.
Better swing right there. Even though he hit it foul.
Cody Ashley is still out in the on-deck circle for the Phils. Nick Whitgren has been warming up in the bullpen for the Marlins. Three balls and 2 strikes. Over the third base side, charging is Prado. Bare hands, throws, and he throws and hits Rupp. And that'll be a base hit for Cameron Rupp. So he is aboard. Rojas will tag him. He did not make any attempt to go over to second base.
It's a nice play right there. Just ball tails back in, hit Cameron. Left. I think he actually tagged him, thinking he might have missed first base.
Oh, you think that's what it was?
Yeah. It's a good play though. You see the ball tails right there into Cameron. Gets it with his front toe.
Yeah, so Don Mattingly is talking to the home plate umpire right now about that.
About being in the base path.
Maybe he's doing it about being in the base path. Cameron looked like he had established the baseline. So he must have gotten the explanation he needed.
Yeah, that's a judgment call by the home plate umpire. He's watching Cameron running well inside fair territory, but as he's getting close to the bag, I'll tell you what, he's got a pretty good argument.
He was attempting to go back. He never did get back onto the dirt consistently. Lefty on lefty. Ashley takes low. Two and two to Cody. Stays alive as he hits that foul off Jeff Mathis, and he'll get a moment.
Looks like it hit him off the shin guard, right off the knee. Left knee.
Phillies have Ramos warming up in the bullpen. Swing and a miss. Goes after a breaking ball, and there are 2 outs.
This is a tight breaking ball. Good location, starts in the middle and just goes off the corner of the plate.
Well, it gives Freddie Galvis a chance now to bat right-handed. He is 1 for 2 tonight. It's been a tough road trip for Cody Asche. He has 1 hit. It came last night. Galvis rolls over on it foul. It's 0-1.
I think Freddie felled that one off his foot or his shin. Top of the foot, right off the laces.
He's been hot. He's getting more at bats against left-handers recently. Could be one of the reasons why he's swinging a little better. Punches it foul, and it's now no balls and 2 strikes to Galvis. Swing and a miss. Galvis strikes out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Dunn. He gets the lefty Asche and the right-handed hitting Freddie Galvis. Time to stretch here at Marlins Park. The Phils down 1-0. Appreciate that. Phillies in need of a little offense here. They've got another good outing from Jared Eickhoff. He's allowed just the 1 run. Saturday, August 20th, when the Phillies take on the St. Louis Cardinals as part of a 3-game series. All fans, compliments of the folks at Toyota, will receive the replica of Harry Kalas' statue at Citizens Bank Park. Make your plans now. Purchase your tickets by going to Phillies.com. Well, Matt, it's a shame that last night Jeremy Hellickson went 6 scoreless, did not fare in the decision. Phillies eventually won that one. Tonight, you've got six innings from Eickhoff. He's allowed 1 run, and he's pitched very well. But right now, he trails as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Echeverria shows bunt, and he offered at it, and it's 0-1. Echeverria is 0 for 2. He's popped out and grounded out. To the left side. It's going to be a tough play. Franco gets to it and then zips the throw over. He made it look a lot easier. Now with 1 out, Jeff Mathis is due up. Let's check in with Greg Murphy, who's going to update us on what's going on around baseball. Murph.
All right, thank you, Tom. Yes, it's our greater coverage of baseball presented by T-Mobile. And for the 2nd straight season, the Toronto Blue Jays are buying a big name at the trade deadline today. They acquired Melvin Upton Jr. from the Padres in return for a pitching prospect. The Blue Jays said that it was Upton's versatility that they liked, his ability to play all 3 outfield positions. They believe he can help them in a postseason chase. And you mentioned the Jed Jerko home run by the St. Louis Cardinals second baseman. Well, get this, that was home run number 138 this season for the Cardinals. They had 137 home runs all of last season, so they become the first team this year to surpass their total from a year ago at 138. And by the way, Jerko has 6 home runs in his last 9 at bats, so he is certifiably red hot at this moment, guys.
All right, Murph, we appreciate that.
Happy to do it.
Pretty good pickup for the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't even know if they expected he was going to play that much. Because Colton Wong was going to play second, Peralta was going to play short, Carpenter was going to play third. But with the injuries, the current one to Carpenter, the original one to Peralta, and Wong struggling, Jerko's getting a chance to play a lot more. You like the Upton deal for the Blue Jays? Considering that San Diego's paying a lot of the salaries, Mathis goes down looking.
Yeah, since San Diego's paying all but $5 million, I think it's a great deal. But I mean, if he's back in form where he was back with Tampa and having a good year, yes. But if he was the player that's been there for the last couple of years
with the Braves,
terrible deal. But you never know. I mean, he is a fly ball hitter going into Toronto. He's going to get a chance to play the outfield. Put Batista as a DH.
You wonder what that also means for the future of the Blue Jays. If they have him, what will they do with some of their free agents? Rojas takes a strike. It's 0-1.
Well, they do have 2 big names, Encarnacion and Batista, who are both free agents. They just signed Smoke to a 2-year plus an option.
There's Marcell Ozuna out on deck for Mike Dunn. The pitcher spot is up next. 0-1 to Rojas. Hot shot past the diving Franco into left field. And Rojas has a single. And Ozuna will bat.
Quick reactions to Franco's left ball was just hit too hard.
Ozuna at his 5th opportunity as a pinch hitter this year. Marlins as a team, 246 off the bench. Boy, that ball was a 58-footer. 57-footer. It gets past Rupp. Wild pitch. Puts a runner in scoring position.
He wants to throw the strikeout slider as a first pitch.
Fly ball up center field. Odubel Herrera bursts back a few steps. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left at scoring position for the Marlins. 7 in the books. On to the 8th. Eickhoff's due to bat second. Baseball is brought to you by Toyota. For great summer deals, visit your local Toyota dealer or buy at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By McDonald's. Stop by McDonald's today and enjoy the new McPick 2 for $2.50 menu. I'm loving it. And buy your local Ford stores. This beautiful ballpark, which will be the host of next year's All-Star game. They have ceremonies tomorrow honoring that commitment by the city of Miami and the ownership group here at Marlins Park. Don Kelly takes over at first base for the Marlins. Moving from first base to second base is Rojas. And the new pitcher is the right-hander David Phelps, 2.84 ERA. Well, this lets us know that either Rodney or Ramos is not available. Although Rodney could close or Bearclaw could close, depending on who's available, if Ramos is not available tonight. So I guess the story is not fully written yet as far as the availability of the back end of the Marlins bullpen. Dunn pitches a scoreless inning. He allows one hit. And Paredes takes outside, 1 ball and no strikes.
Phillips threw 1 inning last night, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk, 20 pitches.
Taylor Featherston is in the on-deck circle. He's going to get his first at bat in the Phillies uniform, it looks like. Pitcher spot is due up next. Swing and a miss at a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, 2-1. Backswing may have gotten Mathis on that. Paredes just asked him if he was okay. Hector Neris, Andrew Bailey, both warming up in the bullpen. One out here in the top of the 8th inning. And Featherston will indeed bat for the Phils. Just brought up from the minor leagues where he's hitting .264 with 12 home runs and 32 runs batted in. Phillies had him in spring training for most of the spring. Guy who spent a full season up with the LA Angels of Anaheim. And he takes outside, 1 ball and no strikes. He's a utility player. He can play second base and third base primarily, but also in an emergency can play shortstop, which is where he was playing at the start of the year before J.P. Crawford was promoted to Lehigh Valley. Breaking ball, and it's 1-1. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts. So that's 5 strikeouts for Phelps. After the game, Ricky Metallico comes your way with his analysis on tonight's Phillies-Marlins matchup and Jared Eichhoff's performance. Only on Cure Auto Insurance presents Phillies Post-Game Live. 5 strikeouts in 2 nights for Phelps. The Phillies have gone down 4 consecutive times in this game. That's what every manager likes, is a bullpen that strikes guys out. Cesar Hernandez takes upstairs. Cesar's 1 for 3, singled his last time. Dribbler right side. Phelps has it and applies the tag. An easy 8th inning for David Phelps. The Phillies go down 1-2-3. Jerad Eickhoff's night is done. Excellent job through 7. He allowed just 1 run, and now it's up to the bullpen. The top of the order is due up for the Miami Marlins. Every time the Phillies pitchers retire the opposition 1-2-3, which Jerad Eickhoff did once tonight, actually twice tonight, I should say. Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Here is Andrew Bailey in a 1-0 game. His responsibility, Matt, is to keep it a 1-0 game. Suzuki leads it off. He's 0 for 3. And Ichiro takes inside. It's 1 ball and no strikes. I mentioned before that Ichiro has 10 straight 200 hit seasons in his career. If you look back at all of his base hits, he also has 107 bunt hits. I don't know if that's a lot or a little. I think it's a little when you think about 2,996, make it 97 as he loops one into left field. He is 3 hits away from 3,000 for his career.
Well, we've seen this swing many, many times. Body goes towards first, barrel goes towards left. That nice level swing, easy swing.
Well, his fan club is excited to see it. He's 3 away now. Here's Prado, and you got to keep an eye on him, even though he's 42 years old. He has 506 career stolen bases. and 8 this year. Prado scored the only run of the game. He doubled his last time up. He's grounded out, and he's also popped out. There he goes. Pitch is high. Throw to second base is late. Nine stolen bases this year for Suzuki.
A very good jump. Head down, straight steal. How hard he slides into the bag.
I guess letting the fielders know that he's not going to allow them to get in his way. And Prado takes a strike. It's 3-1. First and second, and now Yelich is up. He was just telling us before the ball game, he was looking at the amount of pitches that his relievers have thrown recently. He said, you know, one of the other guys is going to have to step up at some point in these close games. He said, I can't keep running out the normal 7, 8, and 9 inning guys, and when we're down by 1 or we're tied in a game, he said, I do have to mix it up. McClure heading out to the mound.
No, I would agree. I mean, yeah, you're sending out the usual. You know, if it's Ramos in the 7th, and Neris in the 8th, and Jamar Gomez in the 9th. But when guys aren't being used in that situation very often, you think maybe they might be pressing a little bit too much?
They could be.
To show that I should be in this position.
I guess that goes on at every level. So runners on first and second. The meeting at the mound is over. It's 1 ball and no strikes to Christian Yelich. Two in it. Giancarlo Stanton waits on deck.
Off speed pitch, 3-1. Not a bad call. He's been overthrowing his fastball, getting around his cutter a little bit too much. That way, throwing an off-speed pitch will get you back on top of the baseball and get out front of your body.
Swing and a miss. He got it with a fastball. He raised it up in the zone. I think Yelich was expecting something else on that pitch, Matt.
Yeah, I would agree. It almost took like the swing, like he threw me a 3-1 changeup or off-speed pitch, was going to come back with the same pitch. Actually, up in the zone, backdoor cutter.
Here's Stanton. The Phillies will line up their defense in somewhat of a traditional formation, except for Cesar Hernandez, who will keep Ichiro close at second. Now that hole over there to the left of Cesar is where Stanton hit the ball that drove in the game's only run. One ball, one strike.
This is a big swing straight back. Well, watch his front hip. See how everything left early? So now all of a sudden the barrel's coming through the zone a little bit towards his body, towards third, instead of straight out.
To right center field. That's well hit. Paredes is going back. It's over his head. A one hop off the top of the wall. It should be a ground rule double, but the umpires are saying no. And 2 runs will score. Stanton goes to third. Right now it's 3-0 Miami. Pete Buchanan's going to come out. And it looks like the umpires are indeed going to change it and call it a ground rule double. So if it goes and hits that black, which is what we told you the last time the Phillies were here, and it definitely did hit that black on one hop.
Yep.
It's a ground rule double. So Prado goes back to third and Stanton will go to second.
But Paredes did the right thing by playing it out until they went back and reviewed it and sent the runners back. But you talk about hitters making an adjustment. He swung at that one, fouled it straight back. Then all of a sudden the next pitch he drives it to right center. That's what very good hitters do, is making the adjustment.
We've got a pitching change. The Marlins have added to their lead. It's 2-0. 1 out here in the 8th. Stanton, as they will intentionally walk Chris Johnson, the pinch hitter. Johnson was in the original starting lineup. He fouled a ball off his toe this past weekend against the Mets, and after taking batting practice, they felt like he couldn't stay on it over at first base defensively, so that's why they made the switch. Now Pete Mackanin brings in Severino Gonzalez after Andrew Bailey gives up a run, and there are runners on second and third. There's ball 4. The run scores on the double by Giancarlo Stanton, the ground rule double. And his swing was a little different this time, Matt, than what we saw earlier in the at-bat.
Well, it was. This one here was the one that he fouled straight back. The one on the right is a double he hit. Just look at his head. And look how his arms are staying down through the zone. This one here, there's a little too much area. It's like a basketball swing. You can put a basketball through there. But the one on the right, how it stays tight, his head stays down. If you look at his right hip on the left, it's gone. But the one he hit the double on this one here, everything stays tight. That's why he drove that ball through right center.
So the Phillies load up the bases to try to get a force at any base. And it's 1 ball and no strikes. Urena comes in to be a pinch runner for the Marlins. Sometimes it's dangerous to put a pitcher in as a pinch runner. Inside, 2-0. And a liner to right field, and that's going to be in for a base hit. Paredes cuts it off. 1 run is in. Stanton's coming home. The throw goes to the cutoff man. It's short. And it's 4-0. Marlins on top. Echeverria comes through. Well, just like the Phillies last night, scoring 3 insurance runs late. The Marlins have done the same. And Jeff Mathis takes a strike. Oh, and 2. Just off the outside corner, 3-2. Got him. 94. And Rupp hangs on. 2 outs. With runners on first and second, and Rojas is coming up. He's the 8th man at bat in this inning. This has not been a great road trip for Severino Gonzalez. He allowed 3 inherited runners to score in Pittsburgh and 2 here tonight. One of those runs was Giancarlo Stanton, who drove in a run in this inning and has 2 RBIs on the evening. No balls and 1 strike to Rojas. Jared Eickhoff went the first 7 tonight, allowed 5 hits and 1 run. Here in the 8th inning, it's been Andrew Bailey and now Severino Gonzalez. And a line drive, base hit it to right field. Paredes cuts it off. 1 run is in. The throw goes to the cutoff man on the infield grass. It's an RBI double for Rojas. 5-0 Marlins on top. Well, this inning has really exploded.
It's exploded this inning with 4 hits, starting with Ichiro, hitting hit number 2,997. A couple base on balls and a couple of strikeouts.
Yeah, his hit was big, and then his stolen base, I think, put a little more pressure on the Phillies. Here's Don Kelly up for the first time. He came on to play first base, excuse me. Three and one. Ichiro, as Matt said, started the inning with a single, and if Kelly reaches, he may get another chance to add to his hit total. Three balls, 2 strikes. Ball 4. Ichiro will get another chance. Bob McClure out to the mound. Ichiro spent most of his career in the Northwest in Seattle, major league career in Seattle, before going to the Yankees, and now here with the Marlins for his 2nd year. He looped a single to left his first time up in this inning.
I do not see a super fan in the stands today.
No, I don't think he's he may be here, but he's not in the same spot he was over the dugout. Ichiro takes strike 1. It's 0-1. Apparently Ichiro doesn't really like the attention that superfan gets. 2,997 hits, 3 away from Roberto Clemente in the coveted 3,000 hit club. 0-2. That was a big overswing there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think he'd expect an off-speed pitch at that time.
The 0-2 pitch outside, 1-2. Out to left field. Ashe over toward the line, comfortably under it, and the Marlins do leave him loaded. here in the 8th inning, but they do score 4 runs. Ichiro scored one of them as he picked up 1 hit to inch closer to 3,000. Back to the Marlins bullpen for the top of the 9th. Giancarlo Stanton has found his swing a little bit in this ball game.
Yeah, he has. This is one that was a 0-0 game. Does a nice job. 2-strike approaching the ball to right field. Brady comes up with a strong throw. And in the 8th inning against Bailey, gets a fastball down the zone. Makes the adjustment from the pitch previous to that. Drives that ball to right field for a double. That is your W.B. Mason deliveries of the game.
So now Nick Whitgren is going to come in at the top of the 9th inning. It's not a save situation. 2.32 ERA. Don Mattingly is hoping to rest his bullpen tonight, the rest of his bullpen. Odubel Herrera will lead it off for the Phils. Marlins bullpen has 4 strikeouts tonight. As we begin the top of the 9th inning, Phillies have 1 hit against the bullpen. First pitch is high, 1 ball, no strikes. Fastball. Reminder that tomorrow we will be on the air at noon for the Phils and the Marlins. It's camp day here at Marlins Park. We were here last year for camp day. At a play, 1-2. Ball and 2 strikes to Odubel. And just off the outside corner, 2-2. Defensive swing right there. Odubel does have a hit tonight. He's 1 for 3, 1 for 8 in the series. Over to Prado, and he got him on a big hop. There's the first out. Phillies are down to their last couple of outs here in the 9th inning. Maikel Franco is 0 for 3. Tomorrow it's Zach Eflin who will get the baseball, coming off his shutout, his last time out. Way outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
So I would think, since the trade deadline's coming up, that the Phillies are hoping that Tom Koehler would get traded so they never have to see him again. And I think that Miami would like to see Hellickson gone.
It is
so
true.
They never have to face him again.
Tapper back over the mound. Echeverria charges. It looked like he almost fell like last night, but he was able to maintain his balance. 2 away.
This is a tough play right here coming in. Ball kind of comes back on him to his right a little bit, but he has tremendous hands. Better balance than last night. Makes a good throw.
So now the Phillies down to their final out. Phillies have been shut out 4 times this year. The last time was on the 17th of July against the Mets. Tommy Joseph takes strike 1. Joseph flied out to center field, his only time up. Took over for Ryan Howard when Dunn came in. And it's 0-2. Swing and a miss, and the ball game is over. For the Marlins, it's their 6th shutout of the year. For the Phillies, it's the 5th time they've been shut out this season. They lose it 5-0. Giancarlo Stanton, a single and a double and 2 RBIs in this ball game for the Marlins. And his first RBI was the only one the Fish needed, but they added 4 insurance runs. Ichiro Suzuki getting the start. Picked up career hit number 2,997. Our Chevrolet player of the game, though, Tom Koehler, continues his dominance against the Phillies.
He was very good tonight. He only threw 73 pitches over 6 innings. 51 of those were strikes. And he threw every single thing he needed tonight. He's had a very good curveball, very good slider. Again, he was throwing that curveball where he's being able to throw it underneath the barrel, bouncing at the home plate, getting a lot of hitters out in front. Used some changeups when he needed to, and he really threw extremely well. That's why he's your Chevrolet player of the game.
So the Marlins win it 5-0. We'll be back to Marlins Park to wrap it up right after this.